Fantastic.
If it's happening, we're talking about it on Britain's Newsroom.
GB News, Britain's news channel.
GB News, unlike other broadcasters, isn't obsessed with the London-Westminster bubble. We think there's a nation beyond the M25, and that's why we talk about the issues that matter across the land. Join me on State of the Nation, 8 to 9 o'clock, Monday to Thursday, on GB News. Daisy's listening, and you should too.
People in Britain, they love free speech, but they also love fair play.
I don't care if I'm speaking somebody from a trade union, from the Labour Party, somebody from the SNP. And I think the viewers like to see that actually we can challenge one another, but in a positive way.
We think we ask the questions that people want to ask, and often we ask the questions that we wanted to ask in Parliament but never got the chance to ask.
So join us every Saturday, 10 a.m. till noon on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
The Live Desk with me, Mark Longhurst.
And me, Pip Thompson. It's here Monday to Friday on GB News.
From midday, we'll bring you the news as it breaks, whenever it's happening and wherever it's happening, from across the UK and around the world.
Refreshing, feisty, but with a bit of fun too.
If it matters to you, we'll have it covered on TV, radio and online.
Join the Live Desk on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In a world of dull and predictable radio and TV shows.
Oh, hi. On Mark Dolan tonight, we've got big guests. We drill into the big stories of the day. The show adds up to a brilliant listening and viewing experience. Mark Dolan Tonight is the most entertaining current affairs show ever, and that's a fact. That's Mark Dolan Tonight, Friday, Saturday and Sunday from 9. Only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good evening, I'm Patrick Christys, back with you for some Friday night fun. It's the start of the weekend after all, so let's kick back and enjoy ourselves. And what a lineup we have for you tonight. Tonight on the show, is it really up to teachers to get kids to brush their teeth? Keir Starmer certainly thinks so, but he's facing a backlash from a lot of angry teachers and the parents who aren't lazy. Legendary presenter from Fat Families, fan favourite Steve Miller will join us very shortly to have his say, but also tonight, me and my fantastic panel will be entering the spin room, where good stories turn bad and some bad ones turn good, like the one about a sheep in a wheelchair. We'll also be going round your parts. Yeah, you heard. That's the part of the show where we run through some of the fun stories from around this wonderful nation, the best of local news, including a very rude road name. And we will finish with the missing words quiz, where we showed the panel some newspaper headlines with, yep, you've guessed it, one word missing. How on earth did we come up with that? And, of course, it wouldn't be a Friday night show, would it, without Dog of the Week. No, again, we're still banned from doing that. This show should be a lot of fun, but first, let's get your headlines from Tatiana Sanchez.
Patrick, thank you, and good evening. This is the latest from the GB Newsroom. A man has been remanded in custody over an alleged plot to kidnap and kill TV presenter Holly Willoughby. Gavin Plum, a shopping centre security guard, is charged with soliciting a man to carry out the crimes. The star pulled out of hosting ITV's This Morning after bosses were reportedly alerted to the possible threat. It's understood she's being given round-the-clock security and support. Labour's describing its Rutherglen and Hamilton West by-election win as a seismic victory. Michael Shanks took the seat with 58% of the vote, more than double that of the SNP's Katie Loudon. Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer says Scotland is key to securing a majority at the next general election. A key supporter of the Just Stop Oil protest group says he is redirecting his funding to a youth voting campaign. Green energy industrialist Dale Vince says he's given more than £340,000 since the group's foundation. But he says under the current government, protest cannot work, and he warns further disruption may prove counterproductive. Mr Vince is instead supporting a new cause aimed at encouraging young people to vote. Just Stop Oil says it will continue its campaign of civil resistance. Former First Minister and current Alba Party leader Alex Salmond says Humza Yousaf has days to save his job after the by-election defeat. Scotland's First Minister says the SNP needs time to reflect on the result.
The SNP, we didn't do enough. We know that there was contextual factors. Margaret Ferrier's reckless actions, the police investigation, of course. But we've got to reflect, I've got to reflect, the party has to ensure we've got a good campaign machine behind us, but also that we're inspiring people with a message. We clearly got a message from the voters of Rutherglen and Hamilton West that the SNP has lost some trust in that seat. We've got to make sure we regain it.
A Conservative councillor has called for the Home Secretary's resignation over the handling of RAF Scampton. The government is accused of ignoring a legal order to stop converting the former airbase into a migrant camp to house 2,000 people. The Home Office says it's confident the project meets planning requirements, but Councillor Roger Patterson described the department as liars. And finally, while much of the UK could see temperatures of up to 26 degrees Celsius at the weekend, a warning for rain is in place in parts of Scotland. The Met Office has issued both amber and yellow rain warnings for large parts of Scotland and northern England from tomorrow until Sunday morning. ScotRail has announced there will be significant disruption to its services as a result. In contrast, fine and dry weather for southern and central England. Temperatures could rise as high as 25 degrees by Sunday afternoon. This is GB News across the UK on TV, in your car on digital radio and on your smart speaker by saying play GB News. Now it's back to Patrick.
All right, welcome along. Happy Friday night. Now, fury today from teachers and parents alike after the Labour leader, Keir Starmer, pledged to introduce supervised toothbrushing for young children in England's primary schools, like the kind of thing you might get in North Korea. So, while the dentistry profession says that they are big fans of the idea, although I don't believe that because they make money off people having rotten teeth, head teachers say that their staff have better things to do with their time than check whether pupils have cleaned their teeth. Like tell them they've been born into the wrong body, or that Britain's empire is a disaster. So, should this be the responsibility of parents, not teachers? We are joined now by legendary former presenter of Fat Families, Steve Miller, to get his hot take on all of this. Steve, what's going on? Why are you, me, everyone we know going to have to pay out of our hard-earned taxpayers' money because some parents are too lazy to brush their kids' teeth or get them to do it themselves?
Yes. We're talking about this. It's a toothbrush. It's a toothbrush. And it is absolutely the role of the parent to make sure that their children are cleaning their teeth. This, again, is yet, in my view, a theoretical policy put together by the theorists, obviously, who think this is something that teachers should do when teachers are so busy, obviously doing what they should be doing, which is teaching. I think it's absolutely ludicrous. And listen, if I have children and I cannot get them to clean their teeth or show them how to clean their teeth and actually look over them as to clean their teeth daily, then frankly, my children should be taken off me because I believe it's neglect. It's as straightforward as that. I think it's absolutely bonkers. To be honest,
think you should literally.
I mean, you should be in detention for it, to be quite honest.
You could literally decide who and who is not a good parent by whether or not they have managed to be able to make that very tiny child do that very basic thing that they've asked them to do. It is not the role of the state to get involved in that, is it?
Oh, for goodness sake, of course it's not the role of the state. Patrick, who comes up with these ridiculous policies? He has done. That's why I would put him into. He needs to go into school detention and have 1,000 lives for coming up with such ridiculous policies. I think parents would be insulted by it as well. A lot of parents are very responsible and they make their children clean their teeth before they go to school. Everything's about nannying now, isn't it? Everything's about abdication, you know. I mean, and frankly, if you cannot get your children to clean their teeth in the morning, you should not have had your children in the first place. It's as straightforward as that with me. It's not complicated. It's very straightforward. And you think about how much time this will take for teachers when they're already hard pressed. And you think about the lockdown as well. We had all of that delay of these kids getting an education. I don't want kids going to school to learn more about cleaning their teeth and time wasted like that. I want them learning how to read, how to write and how to socialise, not in terms of cleaning the teeth.
I mean, look, hey, sure, yeah, we're below Vietnam on the school league tables. Yeah, sure, sometimes they have to enforce a Pride Month on very young children. Yeah, look, hey, sure, sometimes children come out of school and they've got a reading age years below where they actually are. But at least they will have bright, pearly whites. I just find it absolutely bonkers. Teachers should not be social workers.
Oh, completely. It's not their role. You know, otherwise you start questioning what is the role of the parent? I have a child. It is my responsibility to look after that child's health, to look after their mental health as well as their physical health. And that includes dentistry as well. It's not your job. It's not the state's job. It's not a teacher's
You don't want to be that parent there, you know, standing by the side of the football pitch or whatever, going, oh, which one's your child? Oh, mine's the one who's just done 14 step-overs and knocked it into the top corner from 30 yards out. Which one's your one? Oh, it's the one who stinks with green teeth. You don't want to be that parent, OK? Steve, thank you very much. We're going to park it there. Great to have you on, Steve Miller, the fabulous host of Fat Families. Check it out online. He's come out with some absolute corkers, including, it was a weight loss show, in case you couldn't gather, but he kind of took the tough love approach to it. So he included the line, watch out, massive fatties, the lard police are in town. It's worth a watch. Anyway, right, it's time to bring in my brilliant panel this evening. We've got Bushra Sheikh, and we've also got comedian Leo Curse. Great stuff. Look, Leo, I'll start with you. As far as I'm aware...
the state of my teeth?
No, it's not because of the state of your teeth, actually. As far as I'm aware, I don't have any kids.
Right.
And hopefully I don't get a knock on the door one day. But what do you think about this? Do you think that parents should be just seriously brushing their own kids' teeth? Why is it our problem?
Well, we've seen the state sort of its boundaries get wider and wider, especially in Scotland. The state now, in fact, the Named Persons Bill, which made the state responsible for children instead of parents. And you know, as much as this seems like a sort of frivolous, funny thing, you know, having teachers show kids how to brush their teeth, it's a serious point. I mean, where's it going to end? Like showing people how to wipe their bums? Yeah. Like we need to just leave parenting to parents and not, you know, I think the state boundaries should be pulled back a little bit.
I can't help but wonder if that is where it's going, actually, Bushra, where we do end up with a situation where, you know, teachers have to shake it for you.
Oh, I mean, to be honest, I actually laughed at this story. I just thought this is ridiculous. The fact that a parent would not make sure that the child's brushed his teeth would just mean that why are you having kids? Kids are a huge responsibility, and part of that is their oral hygiene and hygiene in general. If you've got kids coming in not brushing their teeth, what else are they not washing?
Yeah.
Maybe they're not showering. This is about social services, like you said. It's about neglect. That's what this is about.
But I'm sorry, but it's not all... Like, parents have to take some responsibility. You've got to. We've created a society, Leo, where everything is somebody else's fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything is somebody else's fault. Oh, the reason why I weigh 25 stone is because, you know, I just saw an advert for some cheese on the London Underground, and that triggered something in
and
me.
And society has to accommodate everybody's needs and everybody's wants, and, it's just a sort of slippery slope that we can't get back up because we're too fat.
We can't get back up because we're too fat and we haven't got any fingernails anymore. We're just clawing around the place or like all of that. I think, you know, people need to take some responsibility and have a bit of pride. Now, I get that there will be some situations where, you know, if someone's got a disability or something, you know, there's an emergency event in your life where, for whatever reason, but that's not the people we're talking about here. We're talking about the people, aren't we, that, you know, seriously can't even get their kids up in the morning where they go, I just can't control him. Why not? Why did you have him? Why did you have him?
You know what? It's about accountability, isn't it? It's about parents looking at themselves and saying, you know what, I'm doing a crap job. Let me fix up. Let me be a better parent. But people, they just don't want to self-reflect, do they? Like you say, it's all about passing the blame and buck to somebody else.
Do you buy this idea, though, that we are... I mean, it's the stereotype of Brits around the world is that we all have bad teeth?
Yeah.
So do you buy it, though, that maybe it would be good as we look towards Brexit Britain and Britain standing up on the world stage, that if we could create a generation of kids with nice gnashers, it might actually do us quite good. We might get a trade deal.
Well, that's why we've opened up these trade routes with Turkey, so we can send people over to Turkey to get their teeth done. And then everybody comes back with these ridiculous American 1980s Weatherman teeth. But yeah, I think we're going to get rid of, because of cosmetic dentistry being done in Turkey really cheaply, that's going to save Britain's reputation.
I think it would be cheaper, right, to send, instead of this plan by Keir Starmer to get, you know, all of the things that you would need to make kids brush their teeth and pay teachers to stand over them and watch them, it would be cheaper to send all those kids to Turkey and get veneers.
No, I think the best thing to do is maybe give them like a little a pack, toothpaste and toothbrush. Everyone will get that for free at school when they come to school and they've got something, so maybe they don't have it at home already, they've got a toothbrush and that's it. And just give them a little pack, which isn't going to cost a lot of money.
But then that's another, when we say it's not going to cost a lot of money, but then you start providing everything, you know, then they get everything that they're supposed to get home. You're going to have to give them soap and shower gel and deodorant, and before you know it, you're living in a communist state where you can't afford anything because all your money's taken off you to pay for low-quality deodorant to be given to the population.
One thing I will say on this, and genuinely, I know we're having a bit of a laugh about it and all that, but there will be some children out there whose parents are just awful, and the kids shouldn't, to be fair, have to suffer as a result of that, because you're punishing the wrong person there, really. I do think that if you see a child that's constantly turning up to school with, you know, basically a kind of fungus in their face, then someone should go and have a word with the parents. But
you bully the parents, not the child.
That's your view, yeah. Yeah, I suppose for that select group of kids, then, you know, they probably should get the help. They should get the help, shouldn't they?
Totally.
But then I'm worried that they would get bullied. It used to be like, you know, the kids that were on free school lunches, which now, by the way, I think we're just going to dish out to everybody, including multi-millionaires who send their kids to state school. Their kids can get a free breakfast. Like, cheers, very great. But before, you know, you used to know the kids on free school lunches, and they might get picked on. So you'd be able to tell, wouldn't you? Because it'd be the kids getting led away to the bathroom at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
oh, you're on free school brushes, are you, mate?
Actually, you know what? At some point in my school, when we had that kids who were getting free school meals and had the little tokens and stuff, they used to sell them, so they used to make money. It was like a business at school, you know, because it would cost £5 for an average school lunch, and you'd buy a token for £1.50. So it became an entrepreneurial business at school.
Yeah, people would be selling. Yeah, exactly. Look, I've got your Colgate. Yeah, I've got your Oral B. Do you want it? You know, flying off this. OK, right now, look, we've kind of got the quote-unquote serious bit of this show out of the way. That was actually a news topic that was in the news, of course. So don't go away, because lots of fun to come with the panel tonight. This is where we get stuck into just the general light-hearted nature of it, including the spin room, round your part, and the missing words quiz. That's all to come. Plus, I went out and about today to ask the public about some blatantly fake new political policies.
You try pushing my hand now. Push it.
Just push it.
Wash this hand with your... It's quite difficult.
It is quite difficult.
What you get for breakfast is something that, if we do our jobs right, you will wake up to news that you didn't know the night before.
It's a conversation. It's not just me and Eamon.
We want to get to know you, and we want you to get to know us.
From 6, it's Breakfast with Eamon and Isabel.
Monday to Thursdays on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Nightmare commute. Kick it up a gear with me, Patrick Christys, at drive time, 3 till 6 p.m, Monday to Friday on GB News Radio. You can listen online and on DAB+, on the smart speaker app and on the GB News app. And if you've got an Alexa, all you have to say is, Alexa, play GB News. We're also on TuneIn and the Radio Player apps. From the school run to rush hour, get revved up with me, Patrick Christys, on GB News and GB News Radio.
Join me, Andrew Pearce and Bev Turner, Monday to Thursday, 9:30 a.m.
Who benefits from that? Not the British public.
And on Fridays, join us, Tom Harwood
and Ellie Costello from Britain's Newsroom.
That's what you get with this show. That's fantastic.
If it's happening, we're talking about it on Britain's Newsroom.
GB News, Britain's news channel.
GB News, unlike other broadcasters, isn't obsessed with the London-Westminster bubble. We think there's a nation beyond the M25, and that's why we talk about the issues that matter across the land. Join me on State of the Nation, 8 to 9 o'clock, Monday to Thursday, on GB News. Daisy's listening, and you should too.
People in Britain, they love free speech, but they also love fair play.
I don't care if I'm speaking somebody from a trade union, from the Labour Party, somebody from the SNP. And I think the viewers like to see that actually we can challenge one another, but in a positive way.
We think we ask the questions that people want to ask, and often we ask the questions that we wanted to ask in Parliament but never got the chance to ask.
So join us every Saturday, 10 a.m. till noon on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
The Live Desk with me, Mark Longhurst.
And me, Pip Thompson. It's here Monday to Friday on GB News.
From midday, we'll bring you the news as it breaks, whenever it's happening and wherever it's happening, from across the UK and around the world.
Refreshing, feisty, but with a bit of fun too.
If it matters to you, we'll have it covered on TV, radio and online.
Join the live desk on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In a world of dull and predictable radio and TV shows.
Oh, hi. On Mark Dolan tonight, we've got big guests. We drill into the big stories of the day. The show adds up to a brilliant listening and viewing experience. Mark Dolan Tonight is the most entertaining current affairs show ever, and that's a fact. That's Mark Dolan Tonight, Friday, Saturday and Sunday from 9. Only on GB News, Britain's news channel. On Mark Dolan Tonight, in my big opinion, my first on-air reaction to Rishi Sunak's conference speech, compared to the one I wrote for him earlier in the week. In my take a 10, football legend Kevin Keegan is the latest victim of the woke mob for saying men should commentate on men's football. It's time to show those attacking him the red card. Plus, from depression and suicide to military glory, former Marine Ben Williams, plus TV legend Sue Cook. We're live from 9.
Welcome back. You are watching or listening to me, Patrick Christys, on GB News. It has just gone 19 minutes past 8. Loads on tonight, including the brilliant Round Your Parts, where we delve into the best of local news. Some utter corkers there. And our revolutionary new Missing Words game quiz. No one in media has ever done that before. It's fantastic. Now it's time, myself, my brilliant panel, Lisa Mason, who, in case you're wondering where Lisa is, so are we. Bushra Sheikh and Leo Kurse entered the spin room. So it's the place where good stories turn bad and bad ones turn good, all with the help of a little bit of spin. OK, so we're on to the first one now, and this is some genuinely good, heartwarming news. Sheep's wheels help her overcome broken leg. Oh, look at that. So Rosie the sheep with a broken leg has started a new life at an animal sanctuary, the Rescue Ranch in Hatton near Warwick, as she's strapped to a set of wheels to help her walk. The donated frame is usually used for dogs, but innovative thinking is now keeping her mobile. Now, this is an unequivocally lovely news story. Only a truly heartless brute of a panellist could turn this into a bad news story. Leo, over to you.
How could you possibly think this is a good news story? You know, the reason that they're helping that sheep fix its broken leg is so that we can eat it next Easter. There's going to be... You never had leg of lamb. Where do you think that comes from? It's not a character in Lord of the Rings. It comes from an actual sheep. So we're going to be eating that sheep. Also, with it being on wheels, it's going to be very dangerous for Scottish men who like to go out into the countryside and interfere with sheep. They could be standing near a cliff and just trundle off it. You really need some hooves. I can't believe that's the route you've gone down. You need some hooves to OK. The Rescue Ranch, I like how they've called it the Rescue Ranch, is if that, you know, that supplies Lidl with burgers. Right. That is they put Animal Sanctuary over the top to claim some charity relief, but in reality it is nothing more than a mincing house for fluffy animals. OK, well, I tell you what, Leo, you have successfully turned that into a terrible news story. I would like to politely remind you, it is, of course, before 9 p.m, so we will keep it clean, which I think maybe you quivered on the edge of there, but... Quivered, that's what the sheep is. OK, right, now, next up, it is, of course, this one, right? So, is London prepared for the bedbug invasion that has swarmed Paris? Now, this is obviously after the week's news when we learned that Paris is infested by none other than bedbugs, crawling all over the metro. So this skin-crawling headline obviously isn't the great news that we all wanted to dwell on this Friday night. So what I'm really hoping for is that we can spin this into a good news story, especially considering that these bedbugs are apparently on their way over here. Bushra, yes. You're up. How can bedbugs benefit Britain?
Well, thank you for giving me a wonderful story to spin, right? Yeah. Bedbugs, right? Yeah. OK. Some people are lonely, Patrick. And now they've got company in their bed and they've got company on the couch. And, you know, people know they've got these friends that are with them. They're not by themselves. And that's a good thing, isn't it? So you're not lonely. And the other thing is, you can be extra clean So now, you know, if you shower once a week, you can shower every day to make sure you get the bed bugs off you, so you're nice and clean and fresh all the time. So actually, it's a positive thing on it, isn't it?
I like that idea. So you've gone off loneliness. Loneliness is a massive problem in this country, you know, especially amongst the elderly population. No one has ever floated the idea of having thousands of bedbug friends for them.
You've got thousands of friends now, haven't you? They're no longer creepy crawlies. They're your friendly friends that are keeping you company. That's what they are.
And it's great news for anybody who's a big fan of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here and wants to reenact a Bush Tucker trial.
Exactly,
in bed. You can do it without getting out of bed.
People who want to reenact the Somme, you know, they could do that, couldn't they? All of a sudden they can get the authentic kind of, you know, lice in-body experience that you would have got there as well.
And also, if you don't have the opportunity to go to France, France is coming to you. There you go. So now you don't need to travel to get to France, Paris. There you go. The French are coming to you.
This is something that they leave out of the tourist brochures for Paris, right? It's always, you know, sitting there with a glass of red wine and a cigarette with the Arc de Triomphe and the Eiffel Tower behind you. But they leave out the true, authentic French experience, which is, of course, riots in the streets and bedbugs.
There you go.
And now you can't. If you had bedbugs, you would just be a riot in the street away from the authentic Parisian experience.
Totally. You can experience France at home.
Yeah, great stuff. I mean, I think that's good. I think that's a pretty strong one. OK, I'll give you that one. Now, finally, we are blessed this weekend, ladies and gentlemen, with a proper Indian summer. Parts of the UK are set to be hotter than Turkey. Greece, the Costa del Sol, as a mini heat wave brings temperatures to a tropical 26 degrees. All right, OK, fine. Now, Leo, this is a good news story, OK? We're all going to get tan, it's all going to be nice, we can be out, a bit of alfresco dining, whatever. Leo, I want you to try to spin this into a terrible news story for us, please.
Well, that's easy. I can just reenact the Just Stop Oil woman who's on Newsnight crying. Did you not know the planet is literally on fire? I mean, when we say literally on fire, we mean not really literally on fire, because we've had a very damp summer in the UK. But other parts of the planet, I'm reliably told, are on fire. And it's not just because arsonists keep starting fires. It's apparently because of global warming going around with a lighter as well. But yeah, this is devastating. We're all going to burn to death at 26 degrees, apparently, even though we go on holiday to experience temperatures of 40 degrees.
You know what made me laugh? I mean, you've done a cracking job there, especially considering the... if anyone's seen Lisa Mason, then please do let us know, especially considering that was supposed to be her one. You've done a good job of that. Butcher, he makes a good point. I don't know if you saw that... Go on.
I've got a point to that. It's a total inconvenience. I've put my summer clothes away. I've got my winter wardrobe out. I've got my autumn stuff out. I don't want summer anymore. It's annoying to have to get my things out again.
You see, this is something that inherently bothers women a lot more than blokes. I just don't care. When it comes to the weather, I'll sweat through a suit. You know, I'll sweat through a suit.
Really?
I'll freeze in shorts. I really don't mind.
No, no, we can't. We've got things that we match up our shoes, open toes, clothes. No, this is annoying. You know, go away, Indian summer. We don't want you.
And there's also the pumpkin spice latte. Are you a fan of the pumpkin spice latte?
No, I'm not actually, and I don't know what the hype is. Everyone goes on about that every autumn and Halloween, and it's just not very nice.
Yeah, no, exactly right. You know when autumn's coming round, when you walk into a coffee shop and pay £10.50 for something with pumpkin spice in it that you would never buy at any other point of the year. Anyway, well done, both of you. Thank you very much for that. That was the Spin Room. It's time now for Fake News Friday. And this week, unsuspecting passers-by were confronted with the terrifying prospect of speaking to me in the street about important issues of the day. Now, this week, I decided to ask the great British public all about these, can I add, blatantly fake new policies that may well be introduced. It came off the back of, you know, we were talking before about the kids brushing their teeth in school thing, and I thought that to me sounded like a fake policy, but of course it isn't. And there's quite a lot of that going about at the minute, so I thought I'd pull the public's leg. Take a look and a listen.
Parents have really obese children.
Yes.
The parents get fined and the kids get sent to a fitness camp. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that's terribly draconian. I think there should be more people teaching exercise. Like I do something called the Tai Chi every single day.
Yeah. Essentially, drivers who don't indicate at roundabouts could get 3 points on their licence. What do you think of that?
Yeah, that's fine. I think that driving in general in this country is getting worse.
Yeah.
And we should do things particularly like lane discipline and motorways and things like that.
And this keeps you, I mean, you're in cracking
it opens like this, and this.
If children kick off in a restaurant, the parents could get banned for life?
Banned from the restaurant for life?
Yeah.
I don't know about for life. That seems a bit extreme. I think maybe a delayed ban would be reasonable. You know, a ban of a year or something like that.
Yeah. Then I step forward and I transfer the weight.
People who walk too slowly in busy public areas could be fined and sent on a speed awareness course.
Is it?
What do you think about that?
Absolutely nonsense. I don't think that's right at all.
Now you try pushing my hand now. Push it.
Just push it.
Wash this hand with your... It's quite
Yeah,
difficult.
it is quite difficult.
It's-
Music out their phones or speakers on public transport might be given an ASBO and social behaviour order.
really, wow.
Yeah, what do you think of that?
I think that's a bit extreme.
Right.
I think I mean, it's antisocial.
Yeah.
But I do think it's a bit extreme. Yeah.
The inside of the body, and then it's like, it's Chinese.
If children are unruly in restaurants, parents could get banned from that restaurant for life. What do you think?
I think that's a bit unfair, actually. It should be, you know, maybe 2 chances and then they're out.
2
yellow
strikes
card,
and they're out,
yellow card, red card.
Okay, and then just call the bird's beak again.
Right, obviously, all of those policies are fake and completely made up. But nevertheless, some very interesting takes there. What did my panel think of that? Leo, what I particularly enjoyed was when people would either agree with it straight away outright, right? Or start suggesting modifications to that policy. It shows what kind of clown world we live in, where someone who's walking too slowly at a train station could be sent on a speed awareness course, and people think that's something that might happen.
Yeah, and it's a good idea. Also, the one with playing music out loud on public transport. That does my nut, and it's like, what, we're talking about kids whose parents can't get them to brush their teeth. What, your parents can't buy you headphones? You've got to play your music out of your phone?
Yeah, I would argue even if they can't buy you headphones, headphones are quite expensive. You just shouldn't play music out your phone on a bus. I just find that, you know, but maybe that's just the middle class in me erupting out there. But a few of those I thought were quite interesting. Like kids who kick off in a restaurant. I do think that parents should be banned for life from that restaurant. I hate it.
No, really?
Yeah, when they're playing hide and seek under your table and the parents are there drinking wine going, oh, he's a handful, isn't he? Yeah, he is a nightmare.
Patrick, you really sound like you don't have kids, which you don't. That's why you're saying that. Because restaurants usually have like an age policy as well.
Right.
So they do say that under 12s are not allowed at this restaurant. People need to read that as well. And plus, you're a family. Kids are going to mess up a little bit, aren't they? I think that's really extreme.
It's when there's no attempt by the parents to control that feral child at all that it really winds me up. They laugh like it's everybody else's problem. My dinner out with my fiancée is not your crash.
But, Patrick, when I take my kids to a restaurant, that is the one chance I get to actually not control their behaviour, and I can just let other people, such as, you know, it could be a nice couple on a date, or you know, a waitress or whatever, and they can deal with the mayhem instead.
Yeah, OK, fair enough. All right, well, look, coming up, a man has been kidnapped by his own car. A flat viewing takes a very, very cheeky turn, and a certain lady's garden is having an overdue trim. It's almost time for Round Your Parts, the very best of local news. Will we be coming to a town near you? Patrick Christys on GB News, Britain's news channel.
The Live Desk with me, Mark Longhurst.
And me, Pip Thompson. It's here Monday to Friday on GB News.
From midday, we'll bring you the news as it breaks, whenever it's happening and wherever it's happening, from across the UK and around the world.
Refreshing, feisty, but with a bit of fun too.
If it matters to you, we'll have it covered on TV, radio and online.
Join the Live Desk on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
So Jubes and Kerr, we tackle the issues of the day with real robust debate, both sides of the fence, battling it out with me in the middle with my forthright opinions and views, and often really interesting things happen because you start with a position and then by the end of the debate you find actually, well, I might not have thought about that one.
What we need in this country is 2 new political parties.
You should maybe think about doing a 2024 calendar. I'm Michelle Dewberry and I'm keeping you company right through until 7 o'clock this evening.
GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's watching.
People in Britain, they love free speech, but they also love fair play.
I don't care if I'm speaking somebody from a trade union, from the Labour Party, somebody from the SNP. And I think the viewers like to see that actually we can challenge one another, but in a positive way.
We think we ask the questions that people want to ask, and often we ask the questions that we wanted to ask in Parliament but never got the chance to ask.
So join us every Saturday, 10 a.m. till noon on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
In a world of dull and predictable radio and TV shows.
Oh, hi. On Mark Dolan tonight, we've got big guests. We drill into the big stories of the day. The show adds up to a brilliant listening and viewing experience. Mark Dolan Tonight is the most entertaining current affairs show ever, and that's a fact. That's Mark Dolan Tonight, Friday, Saturday and Sunday from 9. Only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Andrew Pearce and Bev Turner, Monday to Thursday, 9:30am.
Who benefits from that? Not the British public.
And on Fridays, join us, Tom Harwood
and Ellie Costello from Britain's Newsroom.
That's what you get with this show, that's fantastic.
If it's happening, we're talking about it on Britain's Newsroom.
GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, on Sunday mornings from 9:30, taking the politicians to task and breaking out of SW1 to see how their decisions are affecting you across the UK. Bursting the Westminster bubble every Sunday morning, only on GB News, the People's Channel. Britain's watching.
I'm Andrew Doyle. Join me at 7 o'clock every Sunday night for Free Speech Nation, the show where I tackle the week's biggest stories in politics and current affairs with the help of my 2 comedian panellists and a variety of special guests.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights from 7 on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. You're watching or listening to me, Patrick Christys, on GB News. It's just gone 8:35. Still to come tonight, my panel will test their wit on our brilliant missing words quiz. Plus, it is now time we went around your part. So this is where we delve into the best of local news. My team have been beavering away all day to find some of the more obscure stories from places, hopefully, at some point, a bit local to you. Where are we starting this week? It's Worcestershire, yes, where the County Council's Highways team posted about the maintenance work being carried out in Upton-upon-Severn. The council wrote, now, Leo, I'm going to ask you to keep it together here, OK? Tree maintenance works today at Minge Lane, Upton-upon-Severn. Naturally, some people on social media have been quick to see the humour in this story. So, Leo, you're a comedian. Is this just the lowest form of comedy, do you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
You'd never make a joke about anything like that, would you?
I wouldn't. I would be appalled.
No.
I couldn't look myself in the mirror if I made a joke about Minge Lane getting a trim.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is. I mean, there is possibly also a joke, Bushra, of course, about certain elements of your surname being tied in with this. But we won't do that joke. We would never do that joke. You're a lady. This is national television. We couldn't possibly do it. But I must say, I do love this kind of local news story where you end up with, surely the council knew what they were doing here. There's no need for them to have released a press release about trimming a bush on Minge Lane.
Of course they were. I found it hilarious. I'm not going to lie. And just a little bit of a fact for you. So the word minge comes from Romany gypsy. So that's actually where the word comes from.
Really?
So it does have the etymology behind it. It's actually a vulgar slang, isn't it?
Were they the first people to grow one? Interestingly, the tree that was being trimmed is a clematis, but the council couldn't find it.
No. OK.
True story.
Very good, very good, very good. OK, next we are off to wonderful Wiltshire. Now, this story has been in the press for a few years now. It began in 2000 when North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-il, decided that he wanted a world-class brewery for his country, which was just coming round from a devastating famine. The Wiltshire Times reported back in 2009, 9 years on from the original sale, that the Usher's Brewery in Trowbridge and its new brew, the Tidong River Beer, it made international headlines. So the brewery plant was sold to the North Koreans, OK? It was dismantled brick by brick and then shipped to North Korea, and yeah, it's ridiculous. Fast forward now 14 years, and this week the Daily Mail has reported that the unpronounceable beer factory has been hailed by Kim Jong-un's regime for contributing to national economic development, as the Mail aptly put it. North Co beer. I mean, Bushra, I'll be honest with you, if I was working at a brewery and one day a delegation of North Koreans turned up, I think I would have been on the sauce.
Again, I found this quite interesting as well. What I did find out, Patrick, about this was that they were not given the go-ahead until Korea could actually determine, or the Brits could determine, that this machinery wouldn't go off and be used and then later changed for weapons of mass destruction.
No.
So they were not signed off for it initially. Yeah.
No way. Can you
100%.
imagine that? So you're there, you think, well, yeah, well, look, I mean, is it true that you've sold a bomb-making beer machine to the North Koreans? Look, Keith, you not check for a second. Did it never enter your head, Keith, that this brewery could one day be used to fire a nuke at Washington?
Literally.
Well, yeah, because Kim Jong-un is already pretty aggressive. I don't really want him to be drunker and more aggressive. I mean, it's just as well he didn't come over and buy Buckfast Abbey and ship that over there. There'd definitely be World War III.
Yeah, that was it. If he turned up and he was displaying a keen interest in Buckfast, the world would have ended years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's staggering stuff. I do quite like it, though, that, you know, people in North Korea are now getting drunk off Wiltshire's finest beer. But over to Glasgow now, and a man says that he was kidnapped by his own runaway electric car. So Brian Morrison was heading home from work when he says that his new posh motor started driving itself, and he had to dial 999 from inside the car. So the brakes wouldn't work. So it's a terrifying situation for the guy. The police were called, and he can't stop his car. He's just driving. It's like something out of a film. Nicolas Cage, by the way, is itching to play this role, isn't he? And he's driving on the road. He's having to swerve to avoid red lights and other cars and emergency vehicles. So the police get called, and they forcibly stop this runaway car by nudging it off the road and allowing it to then crash into their police van. So Brian claims that it was the car's fault that he was forced to dodge red lights and roundabouts, and a roadside repair mechanic later said that he had never seen anything like the incident. So self-driving cars might not be the way to go, Leo.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, you're sort of dependent on the software not having any glitches, because everything's buttons and computers and stuff. Even in my car, which is a petrol car, and it's not particularly new, but it's got like instead of a handbrake, it's got a little button for the handbrake, and I don't like that. I want a stick I can yank, so, you know, if it does go out of control or whatever, there's something tactile there that isn't dependent on, like, you know, it going through Windows XP somewhere in the floor of the car. It just works. You just pull the stick and some brake happens somewhere.
Yeah, the old manual thing, old reliable. This is hurtling towards technology, isn't it? But sure, I don't know about you, but part of me, like the kind of, because I need a new car at the moment, OK? I've got this chunting old diesel thing, and
I'm telling Sadiq Khan that you've got a
Well, you don't
car.
need to tell him, because every single time I've got one of these cameras that's right opposite where I park my car. So if I needed to move my car because, like, a delivery truck was coming, that would cost me £12.50. Right?
No way.
So Sadiq knows, OK? Sadiq knows already, right? But then part of me thinks that one of these people who drives one of these fancy driverless cars deserves everything they get.
Yeah, I'm kind of anti-electric stuff at the moment. I'm not with all of that. It actually reminds me of the whole Transformers age, like you're getting taken over by the machines.
Yeah.
You know, that's the kind of vibe I'm getting with this. Imagine being in your car and having totally no control over where you're going and what the car is doing. That is so frightening for me. I would never do that. Risk that with my kids in the car, no way.
But the reason that you would do it, really, is so that you can go to the pub, get leathered and get home, right? That's why you'd have a driverless car, so you wouldn't get done for drink driving. But I think they're going to ban you from even doing that anyway, so there's no point in it. There's no point. And all those smarmy people who go, I've got an electric car, look at what I'm doing for the planet. Yeah, all right, the battery for your car was mined out of the ground by a one-armed Congolese orphan, so who's laughing now? Now, our final story is from Henbury, just outside Bristol. And it's a story where we really get to know the locals. A saucy property is on the market, and it has made the headlines as it comes complete with a raunchy sex dungeon. The Bristol estate agent listed the £270,000 two-bedroom flat on their website and caught more attention than perhaps anticipated when viewers took a closer look at one room in particular. Yes, one of the bedrooms comes complete with restraining benches, a pair of stocks, a blind with a saucy image of some woman's legs, and what appears to be a metal cage. It also features leather pillows. God, if those walls could talk, they'd be screaming, wouldn't they? And a fake leopard skin rug to add a little sexy glamour to the decor. So, Bushra, if you, which of course you never would, but if you happen to own that property, there's no way you'd let that on Rightmove, is there?
No way. You know, they knew exactly what they were doing when they were putting those images up of that. Number one, I'm just going to say that that's not raunchy. There's nothing raunchy about it, actually. I've seen much better red rooms than that, to be honest. I have. That's not, like, exciting at all.
I was not
that's
expecting that from you, Bushra, I'll be perfectly honest with you. If that's not... Leo, anyway, how long's your house been on the market?
Well, what I like about this is they've got, you know, some sort of sex machinery at the end. They've got stocks or whatever, but they're just using it for drying tea towels. It's like when you get an exercise bike and, you know, for the first week you're on it, and then, like, after a while, now you're just drying underpants on it.
It's true, yeah, I like that. I do like that idea. I just can't help but wonder, you know, the estate agent going around. Now, as you can see, this house got wonderful panoramic views outside. Yeah, no, and in there we've got the sex room, right? OK, and so the kitchen's new, everything's great. Anyway, coming up on the show, it's our new quiz, Words Fail Me. And we'll get to the bottom of what's going on here.
Long. You're dismissed. Go away.
Yes, I'm Patrick Christys. On GB News, we are Britain's news channel. Stay tuned.
Join me, Andrew Pearce and Bev Turner, Monday to Thursday, 9:30 a.m.
Who benefits from that? Not the British public.
And on Fridays, join us, Tom Harwood
and Ellie Costello from Britain's Newsroom.
That's what you get with this show. That's fantastic.
If it's happening, we're talking about it on Britain's Newsroom.
GB News, Britain's news channel.
Now then, Lee Anderson here. Join me on GB News on my show, The Real World, every Friday at 7 p.m.
I'm not eating bloody cat. Are you
Delicious.
mental?
Open your mouth. OK, here comes a train.
Reminds me of the scene in Singing in the Rain.
Adam, is that a good one?
Whoa! Join me at 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, on Sunday mornings from 9:30, taking the politicians to task and breaking out of SW1 to see how their decisions are affecting you across the UK. Bursting the Westminster bubble every Sunday morning, only on GB News, the People's Channel. Britain's watching.
Join us every night on GB News at 11 p.m. for Headliners, which is 3 top comedians going through the next day's news stories, which is exactly what you need, because when the establishment has gone crazy, you need some craziness to make sense of it. So join us 11 p.m. every night on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Andrew Doyle. Join me at 7 o'clock every Sunday night for Free Speech Nation, the show where I tackle the week's biggest stories in politics and current affairs with the help of my 2 comedian panellists and a variety of special guests.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights from 7 on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel. Every Sunday from 11, join Michael Portillo.
There will be topical discussion, looking at the week before and the week to come. So kick back and relax at 11 a.m. on Sundays on GB News with me, Michael Portillo. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Nightmare commute. Kick it up a gear with me, Patrick Christys, at drive time, 3 till 6 p.m, Monday to Friday on GB News Radio. You can listen online and on DAB+, on the smart speaker app, and on the GB News app. And if you've got an Alexa, all you have to say is, Alexa, play GB News. We're also on TuneIn and the Radio Player apps. From the school run to rush hour, get revved up with me, Patrick Christys, on GB News and GB News Radio.
In a world of dull and predictable radio and TV shows.
Oh, hi. On Mark Dolan tonight, we've got big guests. We drill into the big stories of the day. The show adds up to a brilliant listening and viewing experience. Mark Dolan Tonight is the most entertaining current affairs show ever, and that's a fact. That's Mark Dolan Tonight, Friday, Saturday and Sunday from 9. Only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. It's Friday night. It's me, Patrick Christys, on GB News. I've got a little bit of time now to delve into my email sack. Let's see what you wonderful viewers have been saying. So on Labour's new teeth brushing policy, Daniel says, I'm 51 and we had regular visits by dentists at my primary school in Hereford who taught us how to clean our teeth. And we use the indicator tablets. This actually is not a new woke idea, surprisingly, fair enough. And finally, Ian says, hello, Patrick. you must stop taking your fiancée to McDonald's. Ian, I ask her, where do you want to go for dinner? All right, I ask her, I've got a Michelin-star restaurant booked, I've got it all sorted. Mackie D's, it is. So, it's time now for our fun-packed Friday night quiz. After a week of late-night meetings featuring some of the greatest production minds that this channel has to offer, they've come up with a game where they blur out a few headlines and the panel tries to guess what they are. Yeah. No swearing, please, panel. May I remind you, it's not quite 9 p.m. But before we actually collect the BAFTA, we'd better look at some of these headlines, hadn't we? So, get ready. Furious row as policeman throws blank on ground. That's furious row as policeman throws blank on ground. Any ideas, anybody? Any ideas? Any ideas, Bushra?
Oh, God, what could a policeman throw down on the ground? His, camera?
His camera? His body-worn camera. Shortly before the assault. Shortly before he went rogue with his taser. Leo, any ideas?
Kebab.
It's kebab. So is his kebab. Yeah, OK, fair enough. I mean, it's not either of those things, shockingly, but I believe that we might be able to show you. So what could a policeman possibly throw? A furious row after policeman throws sandwich on ground. And believe it or not, we've got some footage of this to explain it. So let's take a look.
Just sandwich crusts, OK?
Right, so you threw that there? Right, oh, right. So, oh, right. So you think it's OK to pull up outside somebody else's house and chuck your lunch or breakfast outside my house? That's acceptable, is it? You've got no respect, have you?
Civil offence.
It's a civil offence?
OK, well, I can fully understand where you're coming from, and I appreciate that maybe it didn't look so bad, and I'll fully take that on board, and
Pick it up!
If you let me go.
Pick it up!
I will.
Move along. You're dismissed. Go away. Don't chuck food outside your car again.
Harry Potter's gone off the rails, hasn't he? Anyway, we should say that Thames Valley Police have responded with this. We've spoken to the officer involved. We've also been to discuss the encounter with the individual who recorded the video. We strive to learn from our encounters with the public, so the officer involved has been given a chance to reflect on their actions. Oh, grief, there we are.
That's
right.
Brilliant.
Next up is this thought-provoking headline, OK? Japanese city bans blank on escalators. That's Japanese city bans blank on escalators. I mean, this could be anything, couldn't it, Leo?
Sumo wrestling.
Sumo wrestling on the escalator. I wouldn't want to see that banned on an escalator. I'd love it. Bushra?
I don't know, I have a feeling it's dancing, because TikTok's so popular, so people dancing and prancing around on escalators.
You know what? That's not a bad idea, actually. It could be, couldn't it? There's nothing more infuriating to people doing that. Should we take a little look at this, I think, shall we? Japanese bans what? Walking on escalators? That's just insane. That's insane. What, well, you just got to stand there?
Apparently, you get more people up the escalator faster if people don't walk.
Oh, come on.
It's one of these crazy things.
No, really?
Oh, come on.
Yeah, because everybody takes up much less space in the escalator, so you clear. Science can't explain it. It's like the flight of the bumblebee.
But surely you've got one side where people just stand and one side where people walk up who want to be quicker.
Like we do here.
The people are walking up. They're not very close together. So unless people walk up like a sort of conga.
Oh, well, there we go. We'll never know. We'll never know the truth behind it. That, to me, smacks of a lie that a parent told their child one day to stop them running on an escalator, and now it's got into government. Our final mystery headline this week is this. A desperate Italian Prime Minister forced to turn to blank to help fight EU on illegal migration. It's a wordy one. Desperate Italian Prime Minister forced to turn to blank to help fight EU on illegal migration. OK. Leo, what do the poor PM have to turn to?
Is it Rishi Sunak? Because it came up on the thing and I read it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Has the nation seen that? You know, I wonder sometimes if it's the same wonderful production minds that came up with arguably the most simplistic Friday Night Fun feature ever that have now managed to do that. Maybe it was. You know, I was wondering whether it was drink.
I mean, they just didn't blanket. I did actually know that story, by the way.
You did know it anyway.
I knew it was Sunak.
You knew it anyway. Good stuff. Well, shall we find out for the very first time ever? Desperate Italian Prime Minister forced to turn to... It's Rishi Sunak. Oh, my God. To help fight EU on illegal migration. That's mad. It's mad. Who'd have thought it, eh? Who'd have thought it? Well, there we go. Yeah, I mean, it is actually quite a good thing, I think, that we are now. So we are like the end point for a lot of people coming to Europe and the EU, and Italy is the
Unless they're going on to Iceland.
Well, with that... Now, see, this is something that I think we should be looking into, right? Because every other country has waved these people through, right? So why can't we maybe try to get some kind of gigantic bridge to Iceland?
Or have, like, you know, they've got the camp in Calais. We could have that in Stornoway.
Yeah, I mean, it would change the Kerry Katona-inspired adverts, wouldn't it? It would be migrants go to Iceland instead of mums. But anyway, we're going to finish. We're going to finish with even more chaos, yes, as if we have not had enough tonight around here. Now, this is a segment where we play out interviews with the great and the good. But we tell you what, in our opinion, we think they were really thinking. So this week, as we reflect on Conservative Party conference, one thing that stands out for me is the slightly furry issue that Suella Braverman found herself in. The Home Secretary visited the Dogs Trust stand and was caught, well, impaling a Labrador's tail with her stiletto. Let's get rid of that strap at the bottom if we can. There we go. So that is Suella Braverman's 6-inch stiletto standing, going through a guide dog's tail.
Oh.
So at the start of her next speech, right, she did take a moment to apologise because she didn't realise that she'd done it. One of her aides showed her. But we've got a clip here of Suella Braverman talking, and we voiced over what we think she really meant to say.
So what? I stood on a dog's tail. We don't even know if this dog came to the UK legally. Did anyone check his papers? Is he a pedigree? Is he kennel club registered? Is he house trained? A hurricane of hounds are on their way to the UK and they're not all coming here to work. I've said it once and I'll say it again. Multiculturalism has failed.
Well, there we go. I mean, we all know that's what Suella Braverman really meant, isn't it? But there we are. So there we go. Is she really Suella Deville? But thank you very much, by the way, to everybody who's been watching and tuning in. I mean, I must say I'm enjoying just these kind of knocked-together Friday night shows, actually. This is a bit of me. But thanks to my panel, Lisa Mason. Anyone seen Lisa? Lisa, are you here? Although, to be fair, Lisa Mason, the last time she saw me, I weighed 16.5 stone and was wearing a leotard because she is a gymnast that did a challenge. Christys, Bushra Sheikh, thank you very much, Bushra. And Leo Kurz as well. And crucially, to all of our wonderful viewers and listeners and everybody who's been emailing in, I hope you have a fantastic, fantastic, fantastic weekend. I'm just going to leave this here. Mark Dolan. Oh, there he is. That's Patrick Christys. Yeah,
wow,
look at him.
Patrick.
So that is not. Thank you, by the way, Bushra. That's Patrick Christys, who will be making an appearance on every one of these shows. Mark, I hope you're going to have a great show.
Patrick, you've always been gorgeous in my book. As they lose a major backer, are Just Stop Oil running out of fuel? Plus, Sir Alex Ferguson's wife, Lady Cathy Ferguson, has died. We'll speak to Fergie's biographer about the woman that guided him to such success. Plus, my first on-air reaction to Rishi Sunak's conference speech. And how does it compare to the speech that I wrote for him on Monday? Plus, in my take at 10, is Kevin Keegan a sexist dinosaur? All he said is that male ex-pros should be commentating on Premier League football. But what do you think? This show is the home of diverse opinion. Let me have yours, Mark at gbnews.com. Plus, is it game over for the SNP and their dream of independence? And does what happened yesterday in Scotland with that by-election guarantee the keys to number 10 for Keir Starmer? So, the big opinion, the take at 10, Mark Meets and much more. So don't go anywhere. I'll see you after this short weather break.
Hello there, good evening. I'm Jonathan Vautry here with your GB News weather forecast provided by the Met Office. This weekend is going to be one of contrast across the UK. High pressure is in charge across the south, importing heat from North Africa and Iberia, really turning very warm for the time of year. But this trailing frontal system across Scotland is going to be providing much wetter conditions. It will eventually clear off parts of Northern Ireland, Northern England throughout this evening and then stall across central western areas of Scotland repeatedly. Heavy rain overnight. Elsewhere, generally staying largely dry, some clear spells in there, but most of us seeing relatively mild conditions to start Saturday morning around 14 degrees Celsius. This rain then will be heavy and persistent throughout Saturday, and there is an amber weather warning in force. The potential for flooding and disruption is expected, and there could even be some landslides where we see totals really totting up 180 millimetres in some spots. For Northern Ireland, Wales and England, though, it will be a largely dry day. Some sunshine, particularly across the south east, generally hazier skies for parts of Northern England, Wales and Northern Ireland.